Are the paths that we walk the same as the groups we belong? The Jedi community and the Jedi path are not the same thing. Remember this. Hello and welcome to the Knights of Awakening. I am your host, Justin. Before we get started, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please consider becoming one. That way you get the latest and greatest videos and content from the KOA. In a post I read recently on Facebook, that statement that I started this video out with, the Jedi community and the Jedi path are not the same thing, remember this. It hit on something that many of us have come to realize and accept over the many years of practice and study. For my own personal account and a few others that I know, this simple statement has become a hard truth and a reality many years in the making. When I came to realize this, it meant for me giving up much of what I earned and took from the community, everything from my given ranks and titles to even the very name of Jedi. This somewhat crosses over into another discussion, the debate between Charles and Allie on mixing beliefs, but I'll address that at a different time. Just as I see the many different quote-unquote flavors of Jedi out there for many years, this also extends out to the different groups, orders, churches, and training programs. This then extends out even further with the community as a whole. So it goes something like this. The individuals, who are already vastly varied, make up the smaller, even more varied groups, ultimately making up the community as a whole. When you step back and take a look at the makeup of the community as a whole, talk about the ultimate in melting pots. There are so many different flavors and slants and types and paths and all of these different things, which, by the way, is not a bad thing. I think it makes it that much better in a lot of ways. I want to share with you just a part of a conversation I had in private message about this topic. My friend had hit me up and said, "Does the Force make the Jedi, or is the Force defined by the Jedi? How many believe the Jedi needs the Force now? This isn't true." And he was alluding to the statement that I had said. I responded with, in my estimation, the belief in the Force, as is in the way it was presented, is what makes a quote-unquote Jedi different from other faiths. Just as belief in Jesus is required for one to be a Christian. But in many Christian paths or beliefs, going to church is not required. I know many people like that. And he responded with, the Force does not make the Jedi. A Jedi makes the Jedi, such as the code of ethics and chivalry of the knight. And I responded with, depends on what flavor of Jedi one follows. Some view it as a path of quote-unquote right. Others view it as more of a communion with a higher power or self. The question really is, if the community is the path, then do they have the right to tell you if you can be a Jedi or not? Because if you give them total power and control over the path, then you must also submit to this notion. The problem, I think, comes down to this. If the community is the path, then the community as a whole must agree what and how that looks. It's been my experience that this has been done on a smaller scale at the groups and order levels, usually, and even then, with minimal success at times. I know there have been efforts to unite the community under some basic standards with things such as the Jedi Compass and other projects, but even this cannot encompass the vast differences that the Jedi way is practiced on that individual level. Now, this is not me saying that any of this is bad or wrong or whatever. I've always been a proponent of standards. One of the things I have loved about the community is the diversity of thought, background, and the location of the many individuals who make up the community as a whole. Some very wonderful things have come from this. when free thought and free speech is not stifled or muffled by a few when disagreements have arisen in the past couple of years, usually over social or political viewpoints. But I digress. Back to the original statement. The Jedi community and the Jedi path are not the same thing. Remember this. In my personal opinion, those who walk similar paths are enriched by communion with their fellows. Checking in and testing your ideals and thoughts against others, whether they're like-minded or not, will only help you grow within your personal path and also help them progress in theirs. I am a big fan of bouncing ideas and methods off of my companions. But the question is this ultimately. Is it mandatory for someone to be a Jedi and also be active or belong to a group, order, or even the community at large? I don't think so. I don't think it's mandatory. I think it helps you grow within your path, but again, not mandatory. Would I encourage others to commune with their fellows? Yes, of course I do. Would I chastise them or treat them like a leper if they don't? Of course, I would not. Think of it in terms of like a series of roadways leading into a city. The roads, like the path, can and do lead to the city, the community at large, but they also lead away from the city. I think for many, myself included, the path leads to and away from the community at times. To define a Jedi's path solely by their commitment to the community is wrong in my opinion, as we have seen happen from time to time, even more recently with a couple of the videos that have gone back and forth. And this is because we cannot accurately gauge an individual's path in its entirety based on loose or non-existent standards beyond those individual or the group or order level. At the end of the day, I know some of you will not agree with me. Probably at least one in my own camp at the KOA. I have been told, and others like me have been told, that we are not to speak about the community because we are not as active as we once were. That maybe we don't even have the right. As if there's some all-powerful community council looking down upon us. But that's okay, because I still love all of you guys anyway. Especially the haters. The path leads me in and out of the community, but the path is not the community, only the road that leads me to it from time to time. What do you guys think of the statement? The Jedi community and the Jedi path are not the same thing. Remember this. Share your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it around the universe. I love you all very much. And until next time, awaken the night within.